I still remember the way the light hit that perfume bottle like it was glowing from the inside out, and how, for one quiet second, I actually let myself imagine buying it. That was before everything fell apart. Before the boutique manager decided that my skin color, my shoes, and the frayed hem of my school uniform told her everything she needed to know. Before the words, "You don't belong here," sliced the air like broken glass. My name's Brielle. I'm 17. And I learned very young that people judge you fast, especially when you're black, especially when you walk alone into a luxury boutique wearing a wrinkled uniform and shoes with more mileage than money. But that day, I wasn't trying to prove anything. I was just there for one reason: my dad's birthday. I had been saving for nearly a year, picking up odd jobs, tutoring after school, even pawning a few gifts people gave me to buy him something special. Something that said, "You mattered to me," long before the world noticed you. The perfume was called L'Obscur Nude. Handcrafted in France, bottled in cut crystal, and priced like it could pay rent in 3 states. But I had enough to start the layaway. I just wanted to ask a question about how to do it simple. Nothing dramatic. So when I walked into Celestine Parfum on Belmont Avenue, I didn't expect roses. Just a little help. The boutique was like walking into another world, all velvet chairs and soft lighting and floor-to-ceiling shelves that smelled like a rich stranger's dream. But the minute I stepped in, it was like the air itself shifted. I saw her standing behind the counter, slick hair, red lipstick, tailored blazer that looked starched by arrogance. Her name tag said Miriam. She stared at me like I'd tracked mud on her marble floor. I smiled, tried to sound confident. "Hi. I'm looking for some information about the Newt bottle, the limited one." She didn't move, didn't smile, just folded her arms and said, "That collection is reserved for clients who can actually make a purchase." I blinked. I planned to. I just wanted to ask if you had a layaway policy. She tilted her head, then laughed. It wasn't a normal laugh, more like something sharp wrapped in sugar. "Sweetheart, this isn't a department store. We don't do layaway. And frankly, you shouldn't waste your time. That bottle costs more than your tuition." A customer across the room chuckled into her champagne glass. Another employee rolled her eyes. I felt a flush crawl up my neck, but I didn't let it show. I'd been here before, not the boutique, but this moment. The moment where you either shrink or stand tall. And all I said was, "Thanks for the information," before turning around and walking out. She called after me, loud enough for everyone to hear, "Next time, try Sephora." I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I just walked home, my fists clenched and my jaw tight. But that night, I told my father what happened. Not because I wanted pity, but because I needed to say it out loud before it rotted inside me. He listened quietly, then nodded once and said, "All right. We'll handle it." The next morning, a black Maybach pulled up in front of Celestine Parfum at exactly 10 o'clock. The engine barely made a sound, but the whole block seemed to pause when the back door opened. My dad stepped out in his signature charcoal gray suit, the kind that fits like it was born on him. People always ask what he does. Short answer? He builds things. Long answer? He owns Barrington Core Systems, one of the top tech infrastructure firms in the world. But to me, he's just my dad, the guy who taught me how to ride a bike and how to spot liars without saying a word. Inside, Miriam was already behind the counter, espresso in hand, smug as ever. She looked up, caught a glimpse of my dad, and immediately straightened like she'd seen royalty. She plastered on her best customer service smile. "Good morning, sir. Welcome to Celestine Parfum. Can I help you find something special today?" He didn't smile, didn't blink, just said, "No. I'm here because someone very special to me was treated like a stray animal in the shop yesterday." She blinked, then tried to recover. "I'm sorry. If there was a misunderstanding." He held up one hand. Quiet, calm, final. There was no misunderstanding. Just a clear, vivid display of bias. "My daughter, Brielle Barrington, came here with the intention of purchasing a gift for me. Instead, she was insulted, mocked, and publicly dismissed." I watched from the car as the entire store seemed to hold its breath. Miriam stammered, "Had I known she was your daughter, would that have made her worthy of kindness?" he asked, his tone still cool, but sharper now. "Would she have earned basic decency if you had known she came from wealth? Or perhaps if her skin was lighter?" There was silence. Not the awkward, the heavy kind that makes everyone feel their shoes. Then someone behind the counter cleared his throat. A young Monty, think his name tag, said. Elijah stepped forward. His voice shook a little, but he spoke anyway. "Mr. Barrington, sir, I was here yesterday." "She's telling the truth." Miriam laughed at her. Said she looked like a TikTok poser. called her a hood rat when she left. Miriam's head snapped around. Elijah, don't you dare. He cut her off. I was silent, and I shouldn't have been. My dad turned to him and nodded. Thank you. Courage isn't just doing the right thing. It's doing it when it costs you. Miriam looked like her face had been drained of color. She tried again. Mr. Barrington, please, if she had just introduced herself. He smiled then, but it wasn't kind. What you're saying is, if she had worn designer shoes and a last name you recognized, you might have offered her water instead of insults. She opened her mouth. Nothing came out. He paused, then said, This isn't about money. It's about humanity, and you failed that test. Then, without raising his voice, he said one final thing. There will be consequences. Not because I'm angry, but because silence in the face of this would make me complicit. And then he left. Just walked out, calm and quiet, like he hadn't just ripped the mask off an entire business. 2 days later, a letter arrived at the boutique. It wasn't a lawsuit. It wasn't even a warning. It was an invitation to serve. Miriam and the regional manager were ordered to report to the Westbridge Learning Collectivity, a nonprofit run by my dad's foundation that supports teen girls from underserved backgrounds. For 2 full weeks, they would volunteer, without pay, without status, without authority. Just hands. Just ears. At first, Miriam resisted. She scoffed at the idea, muttered that it was beneath her. But on the first day, she showed up. Not in heels, but in beat-up flats. She didn't talk much. Kept to herself. The girls didn't care who she was. They had their own stories, their own traumas. One girl, Tasha, gently teased her about not knowing how to make a peanut butter sandwich. Another girl asked if she'd ever worn a hoodie that wasn't designer. Something softened. By day 4, Miriam brought coloring books, helped pack snack bags, laughed at jokes, and when one of the girls hugged her without warning, she didn't pull away. At the end of the second week, she looked tired. Not physically soul-tired. The kind that comes from seeing yourself without all the makeup. She asked to stay. Not because she had to, but because, in her own words, I think I've been lost for a long time. A week later, my dad hosted a gala. Big donors, glass chandeliers, the whole deal. I wore a gown that my mom once wore in college, not fancy, but powerful in its own right. And when Miriam walked up to me, her eyes looked different. Not scared. Not fake. Just real. She said, I don't expect forgiveness, but I needed to tell you I see it now. All of it. And I'm sorry. I looked at her, thought about the hug, the sandwiches, the silence she chose to break. And I said, then let's see what you do next. Because words fade, but action echoes. So what do you think? Can people change? Does power always corrupt, or can it redeem? 2. Drop a comment below. Let me know if you've ever been judged before someone knew your name. And if you believe that respect. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if this story moved you. Let's keep talking. Let's keep seeing each other for who we really are.